Good morning, listeners and viewers, and welcome to our Tete program for today, September 14th, 2022. We are grateful to God for his blessings and for his protection over our land and for the office of the Royal Grenada Police Force. I'm tempted to say service. But so we have with us Miss Corporal Kadina Douglas McLean. She is a supervisor in the Community Relations Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force. And today we will be speaking community relations. What this office deals with, its function, the initiatives that it has taken and continues to take, and of course some of the concerns that the department would have, and some of your concerns, as you will be invited to call in on this program, 435-0143, to interface with Ms. Corporal Kadina Douglas McLean. So we are here going to speak about the Community Relations Department and its function. So I welcome all of you to this program, and I hope it will achieve the benefit the objective that we have in mind, and perhaps exceed the objectives that we have in mind, which is to educate and to inform. So welcome to you, Corporal.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
Yes. So as I was saying to her, I was expecting her to be fully dressed.
Yes, and I do apologize for not being in my full uniform.
That's fine, because perhaps the people are more comfortable seeing you as you are.
Okay, great.
I was saying to her that as a child, my father too was a police.
Yeah.
And when we grew up, we were scared of police, police officers. We always thought they were coming to, And perhaps it's very good that we can be, or just in civilian clothes, and to be able to speak with us from that level. Okay? Yes. So we welcome you, and we look forward to this conversation that we'll have today on the Community Relations Department.
Yes, it is a pleasure every time the police is invited to speak to members of the public. We embrace every opportunity, and we trust that the information that we share will be beneficial to some member of the society in some way, shape, or form.
Wonderful. Okay, so we know that is a very, very important department in the police service.
It is.
You are interfacing, and as I said, we can stop on two of the words, that is community and relation.
Yeah.
How important these two concepts are to the functioning of that department?
Well, not only the functioning of the department, but the force on a whole. It is very, very important in that we serve the community. As a police force, we are here to protect and to serve our communities, right? We provide a service to our communities. And the fact that we have a community relations department that focuses on community engagements, on media relations, public relations, bridging that gap between the police and the public, or responsibility or areas of responsibility, it is very, very critical and important towards the entire policing machinery, if I may say. So we are the people who will share information with the public, we will interface with members of the public, we will educate our public along that line.
Yes.
We will get people comfortable with the police, let them know what are we accept the concerns of members of the community, the challenges that they face. When we receive this information, we turn it into initiatives, projects, and so on, to better enable us to serve our communities. Because initially, if the police can get buy-in or get communities to understand what we're trying to do, what we're trying to achieve is in their best interest and our best interest, we anticipate that we will have a reduction in crime and also the fear of crime.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if we can get people to, for instance, in the simplest form, say to you, Mr. John, when you're leaving your business place on evenings, do not pass through the dark alley with that big bag of cash, because the dark alley provides an opportunity for a criminal to snatch your money and leave you deprived. We have the police having to come in to investigate the matter, bring him before the court system, and all these other machinery kicking, right? If we as the police could come to Mr. John and say, let us prevent that from happening. Do not pass through the dark alley, because you're providing an opportunity for a crime to occur. Mr. John follows the advice of the police, does not pass through the dark alley, but instead he gets some security company, or he passes in a more safe route towards the deposit, the check deposit. A crime is prevented from occurring, thus making the police job easy, thus saving Mr. John the responsibility, the loss of his cash, his income, thus saving the insurance company, because he may have insurance covering his business and all of that.
Yes.
Saving the insurance company and saving a whole host of other agencies within the community that may be affected once a crime is committed. And it can be, the same example can be used in different contexts, whether it is a rape or whatever the crime may be. So we are here to help you to avoid being victims of criminal actions, to help you to make the best choices so that you do not become a victim of a crime, or you help your children or other people around you to prevent criminality altogether.
Yes, excellent.
Yeah.
You mentioned the whole networking,
Yeah.
that one action of one man,
Ripple. Yeah.
the ripple effect. So each one has to be concerned. That's where I see that community connection, as you
Yes.
said. Each one has to be concerned, not just for himself,
Yes.
but for everybody else,
Everybody
you know, because more people could be affected in terms of one
Case
action.
in point, somebody may be raped, for goodness sake, for want of a better example, but it's a reality. Other agencies such as the healthcare sector gets impacted, because you would need to carry that person to their examination. You would need to have when it gets to the court, you would need to have the doctors and so on. The health experts come to give the evidence, and that takes them. So when we could have prevented that rape from occurring based on the advice that the police will give to you, we have to have all these other agencies who could have been focused on working on other areas of responsibilities, other areas that need that kind of focus, money-wise as well, because our tax-paying dollar goes into the health system and all of that. So if we can prevent here and have these resources channel into other areas that it is needed, then it is a win-win for everybody in the situation.
So prevention is key.
Prevention.
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 Wonderful.
Yes.
As you continue to collaborate, you know, with the community, I'm sure that you have encountered certain situations as well. In terms, you said about taking the advice of the police, but what are some of the programs? What do you do to educate the public? Are people aware of these educational programs or initiatives that you are having? How do you get it to the common man, really? What you're doing?
So we do several initiatives. On a weekly basis, we have a weekly radio program, television programs. So we go to various media houses and we share information. So it's not only the community relations sharing information. We have different point persons in the different stations and departments, and they share their expertise. So you may have fire department this week, you may have immigration department. So we coordinate these programs on a weekly basis. We also do pop-ups. So for instance, this program, it is not a weekly program, but once a request is made, we facilitate it, because we appreciate every opportunity to share information. We have weekly business visits, community visits, school visits. We also do pop-ups at school. We do not let the children know that we're coming in. So the police will do random checks at the school. We have engagements with the school, and I must say, what we have started doing recently at Community Relations, we started from the daycare level, come right up. Yeah, we're not going to only secondary and primary.
To start at
everybody. So we start at the daycare level, we go to the pre-primary, primary, all of the schools. We engage them in different forms, whether it is music, whether we share information, because we also have the police band from time to time going on with the different departments and so on. So we have one-on-one with students. We attend PTA sessions. Just yesterday I presented at a PTA meeting. We do a wide array of engagements with the schools. Not so long ago, we went to a preschool and we taught them about good touch and bad touch. And a number of parents came onto the RGPF Facebook page the following day and said, my child came home and said, a police came to the school and they told me good touch and bad touch. Mommy, you're not supposed to touch me here because it's a good touch and a bad touch. And we appreciate that children are able to learn and remember and understand, so that God forbid that something of that nature were to happen to them, they would understand and they would know to say that person wrong me. They're not supposed to do that to me. So we're targeting them from a very tender age, right?
No, what came to me, as you said, the child said, Mommy.
Yes.
Where's Daddy?
Well,
but at the same time, I mean,
based on the circumstances, but we explain to them who are the people that may touch them bad and good and so on. Mommy may have a responsibility to bathe you, so mommy may have to touch you in your sensitive areas, but you can know when it becomes a bad touch. Maybe it can be a grandpa or an uncle or cousin. So we explained it to them in the simplest form so that they understood, and they demonstrated understanding because they were able to go home and share it with their parents and their siblings, right? So along with the school visits and so on, we have recently adopted a lot of virtual presentations and so on. We're doing a lot virtually. We've done major productions like short movies. We've done short commercials, targeting various areas of concerns. So for just concluded Carnival, we had one focusing on children consuming alcohol and attending adult events. We also had a heavy social media presence and media in general presence, speaking to safety of children, especially during the Carnival period, speaking to parents and so on. And surprisingly, we were able to look at the numbers, we were able to monitor it, to see the reach and everything. And in some cases, we've had on certain platforms, the reach exceeded 50,000 people. So it is huge for us, and we're really big on the virtual productions now because we reach a far wider audience, right?
So within the force, you have people trained in all different, I guess they would have improved because of society, technology, all the things, you know, the information that come to you. You find yourself being able to adjust or to be able to meet the needs in these cases.
And we also pay attention to what is trending, right? So we pay attention to what's trending and we come up with initiatives to address them. We pay attention to some of the issues that we see occurring in society. Sometimes we see bullying, cyberbullying. So we would come up with an initiative to address that. Right? And we do see and we do hear some people saying, well, oh, I was not aware of that. Or, oh, I did not know the consequences was X, Y, and Z. So we have a far reaching audience when we do a lot of the virtual outreach. We also do walkthroughs in communities. We also do a lot of the more in the heightened period, like the Christmas and so on. We do the pamphlet distribution, a number of initiatives we do to reach out to our communities.
And you believe that it is taking root? You think?
Yes.
In terms of the society, in terms of response to the police, you know, in terms of the reducing or prevention of crimes, or
we do get feedback.
A drastic change.
We do get feedback, and in fact, subject to correction, but we have realized a reduction in criminal in crime for the past period for 2021. We did realize a reduction in reported crimes for the period. So our initiatives or actions, I believe, and the evidence is there to show that we are having an impact on our society.
When you crime, situate crime for us, crime can be...
Okay, so as I was alluding to earlier... I know you said
some of it, but yes.
Right, so as I alluded to earlier, a crime is basically anything that goes contrary to our laws, right? So we have laws in our land. And for a crime to occur, we have what we refer to as a crime triangle. So you must have a person, an opportunity, an offender. So if we break that crime triangle that we speak about, then a crime does not occur. So, for instance, we have an offender who's at the corner, at that corner, that's the place, right?
Okay.
And you presenting an opportunity to that offender in that place, that 3 aspects. If we break 1 or 2 of this cycle, so for instance, we address you. Let's say we leave out the offender, the person who's waiting to commit the crime against you. We leave that person here. So they're number 1 to form the triangle.
Okay.
Right? And the police were able to reach to you, the person who was about to provide the opportunity for the crime to happen. And we reach out to you and we said to you, if you're living a party on your own, pass in XYZ area because you're susceptible to some criminal activity. You may be robbed, you may be raped, you may be harmed in some way. If the police is able to reach to you, get that information to you, and you put that information into practice, you prevent a crime from occurring because you did not go the dark alley, right? You did not take that risk. You were cautious on the road. You did not overtake on a risky corner. Yeah?
Okay.
So it's a number of factors that come into play when you look at a crime happening, right?
Yes. I just wanted to ask, in terms of the knowledge of the laws, I mean, we speak of the laws are there, but do we know the laws? Sometimes when you get into a situation, then the law is presented and then ignorance of the law is an excuse.
Right. So, as I said, yesterday I did a presentation, and one of the things I said to parents is that we have the internet. All of our laws are there. So you go on to Google, laws.gov.gd.
Okay.
All of the laws of Grenada are there. So whether you're looking for a law pertaining to criminal infractions, to a road traffic infraction, to a child care, anything that you think about possible, you can find it in our laws, or road traffic, or immigration laws, or fire laws, or cemetery laws, or tongue laws, old laws, new laws. All of our laws are there. So it is there, it is available, it is accessible. So people, you just need to make the time. You can go through them. You don't have to read everything, but things that are relevant to you, you can check them. You can read, you can get an understanding as to what our laws state. It's not hidden, it's right there. It's accessible at our fingertips. Yeah.
We say that, but a lot of times we don't know what it really states. So I think it's an appeal, since part of your responsibilities for education of the public.
Yes.
And to not just and there are some persons who they're not savvy.
Tech savvy.
Right. So you have the whole.
So we have these programs and so.
Okay. So you can reach them by listening.
We can reach them by the television programs, the radio, and so on. So for instance, we have the Financial Intelligence Unit. They're on next week on our program. So they will be speaking to financial laws and everything. So you do not necessarily have to go onto the internet now, to browse it. You can, but we are providing that opportunity next week. So they will come on and speak, as we have noticed certain developments. So they will come on next week and speak to our financial laws, the do's and the don'ts, and so forth.
And where would that program be aired?
They are aired usually weekly on Wednesdays on GIS TV, WeFM Radio, on Thursdays on GBN Mornings, and on Fridays on Magic TV.
Wow, just give us a repeat of that.
Okay, so on Wednesdays we have GIS morning programs, followed by WeFM Radio. On Thursdays, we have GBN Mornings, and on Fridays, we have Magic FM.
Okay. All right?
Yes.
So these are the platforms that you can listen to for, updates from the Public Relations Department or the Royal Grenada Police
in general.
Force, or in general.
Yes.
Okay? So when we come back, we will just visit some of the other responsibilities that the Community Relations Department they're mandated to carry out.
Very well.
Okay? Yes. We take a short break now, listeners and viewers.
Ensure children are kept with responsible adults. Teenage children who are left at home should be kept occupied. Rules should be put in place to avoid idle time and activities. If possible, enroll your children in vacation or summer programs. Constantly check in with your children to ensure they are safe.
Keep flammable devices out of their reach. Ensure responsible adults are involved in outings with minors. Have your children report to you or the police any suspicious activities without delay. Display emergency and close relatives' contact numbers. Pay attention to their online activities. Parental control is strongly advised. Speak to your children about safe and unsafe practices to avoid bodily injury or destruction to property. We wish everyone a safe and incident-free Carnival celebrations.
Carnival is coming. Where is your children? Are they home alone? Glued to their cell phone? Did you leave them chores or letting them explode? Do not leave them alone or you go more. Carnival is coming. Where is your children? Are they home alone? Glued to their cell phone?
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. We are here with Corporal Kadina Douglas McLean. She is a supervisor at the Community Relations Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force. And we are speaking here of the work and function and initiatives that are taken by this department, very integral to the proper functioning of the police force. So we had the concept of reaching out to as many persons as possible, but we have the question of the home. Yes, you speak of the PTA meeting, you speak of but some people that you want to see at the PTA meetings, they don't come.
Yeah.
So how do you reach the home?
Okay, so if there's an issue at home, it will more than likely show at school. Not show at school as well. Somebody in the community may be aware of the issues.
Okay.
So these issues are brought to us. They're treated. Sometimes they're brought to us anonymously. So somebody will call and give the information. People will also give us information without without being anonymous, right? And that information is treated with strictest confidentiality because you want to protect the information, you want to protect the person giving you the information. You do not want to create conflict within the community. We do not want to create conflicts among the staff and the parents, right? So when we receive certain information, we have agencies that we work along with. So we work along with the Child Protection Authority. We work along with Ministry of Social Development. We work along with guidance counselors at schools. We have a very close working relationship with them. So whenever these issues arise, we work along with these agencies to come up with the best solution to assist these families or the children or whoever may be having the issue at the home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I may not want to say exactly what we do or give details because it is a sensitive area.
Right. Okay. Okay. So you have your system and there is help available and you have structures in place to deal with these different situations.
Yes.
So it's interesting that you said you have so many other organizations that you collaborate with for the effectiveness of that department.
Yes, we do.
You know?
We do. And even recently, Ministry of Education they engaged us based on some of the projects, some of the initiatives that we had in the past to partner with them again for the upcoming Child Month celebration. So we're working on...
Oh, so they're going to return to the Child Month celebration?
Yes. So we're at present, we're working on some initiatives towards Child Month celebrations along with Ministry of Education as well. So we do partner with other agencies as well.
Yes. That's great. Now, in terms, let's go back to the Community Relations Department. It has a particular structure. How is it structured in terms of the departments that it is divided into? Okay,
so the Community Relations Department, we are headquarters in St. George's, and we have sub-units at Grenville, that's the Eastern Division, and Wharf, Western Division.
Okay.
And all main functions are basically community engagements, media relations, and internal investigations. So we spoke earlier about community engagements and media relations. The issue of internal investigations is where persons may have issues or they may have had an encounter with a police officer and to that individual, they believe that they were not treated in the best manner. They did not get satisfaction based on the encounter with the police. So this department provides a medium so that you can relate your concern, you can file your complaint, and we carry out an investigation. We pride ourselves in our job. We do our best to be balanced in our investigations. In fact, an officer of community relations department coming to your station will raise your eyebrow and everybody will start talking to the other person to wonder, what are they here for? Yeah? Sometimes you may hear the comment that police for police, but it isn't necessarily the case. Because once you see a community relations officer at your station, you tell yourself, somebody's investigating something. And everybody becomes on edge, right? Part of our internal investigation procedure, we have different mediums, different means of person seeking redress. So you may have a complaint, and if, for instance, the officer was found to be wrong or to be unprofessional in their carrying out their functions, we have different ways that we address them. So we have an internal discipline procedure that mimics the court system. So it is similar to being charged, as someone at the outside gets charged and brought to court and is questioned and you give evidence and all of that. So we have an internal discipline procedure that mimics the court system. And outside of that, you have various sentences that can be passed on police officers. So you can be made to pay a fine, you can be made to be confined to your barrack, you can be placed in the cell for a period of time. You can be demoted from your rank. You can be dismissed from the service, and a number of other mediums. You can receive serious warnings and so on that can be...
Suspension as well?
Well, suspension is more so for the criminal aspect. So when a criminal matter is being held against a police officer, you're placed on suspension until the outcome of that matter. So sometimes even our internal investigations lead towards criminal charges. So the statement, I sometimes I feel a bit of reluctance when I hear the statement, because I know the work that we do. I know that we pride ourselves in our investigations, and we try our utmost to be balanced and to be fair as possible. Because at the end of the day, the files are there, the investigation is there for counsel or whoever to go through to ensure that a thorough investigation was done, a fair and a balanced investigation was done to both sides. So we also have instances where persons may not be charged disciplinary, but we can have the parties come in and we do case conferences. So we have parties come in, they trash out the differences, and they reach a resolution. We also have instances where police are just called in, spoken to, and recommendations are made for these persons to receive particular training based on the lack of a certain quality that they may possess, right? So our internal investigation address all of that. Right. Yes.
Wow, so it flows so naturally from you. I know you also have the research and development aspect of your department as well. You are responsible for research and development. In what context is that?
Prior to 2021, research and development was a part of the community relations department. However, it has since been separated from our department, so we no longer cover that area of responsibility. We now have someone else, Superintendent Stafford, and he's the person responsible for audit, research and development at present. So the community relations department has since been separated, so it is on its own at present.
Because I know you have your Facebook page and it's updated, so when we go there, you know, we find
we rely heavily on sharing lots of information via Facebook,
see that.
Which is great. So we do share lots of information there.
Wonderful. Listeners and viewers, I'm speaking here with Corporal Kadena Douglas McLean, a supervisor at the Community Relations Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force. You can call in with any comment or questions that you would like. 435-0143 is a number you can call to be part of this program this morning. Let's move into the concept of the importance of the attitude. As you said, people can report, but we have heard complaints from the police that people, when they call for help, you know, or they solicit the service of the police force, people go ahead and take matters in their hand. They are impatient to wait on the outcome of the process.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
when they lodge a matter.
Okay, so what we advise persons, we do not advise people to take the law into their own hands, because for someone to be properly charged, for someone to be properly brought before the court, you must ensure that you thoroughly conduct an investigation. You do not want to affect the integrity of a case by haphazardly investigating matters. Just rush through an investigation, hustle an investigation, to appease to maybe one person or so. So you have to ensure that you follow the proper procedures, the proper protocols, thoroughly investigate matters, ensure that you have enough evidence before you properly charge someone, before you bring a matter before the court.
And it may take time depending on
It depends.
Okay.
It depends on the circumstances. It depends on cooperation of some of the witnesses. A lot of factors are necessary to consider. So we do not advise anyone to take any matter into their own hand, because the police is here to serve you. If you have a challenge or you think that a matter is stalling a bit, you can contact us and we can get onto it for you. We can seek the information. Maybe if the police is not cooperating and giving you the information that you seek, you can get onto the community relation. People do that every day. They call, they come in. I've made a complaint about a matter 2 months ago or a month ago or 2 weeks ago. I'm not hearing anything from the police.
Yes.
What's happening? And by right, we ought to provide feedback to members of the public once they make a complaint. But should that not happen, you do have the opportunity to come into us or to call us and let us know that you have not received a feedback, or you have not received an update on your matter, and you would like to know how the matter is progressing, and so on. So,
but sometimes you call and you speak to a particular officer, and there are cases where you don't remember the officer you spoke to, so that you cannot give a name. What is your advice when people call? What should be the procedure when you call to lodge a matter?
Okay, so by standard practice at our organization, anyone who answers the phone, they're supposed to state their name, they're supposed to greet the caller, and you're supposed to state your name and ask how they may help, right? So when you call the police, you take notes of who you spoke to. You keep a record of your time, your dates, and a name. You must get a name. I will call stations from time to time, and if I don't get a name, I demand your name. I demand your name, because you ought to identify yourself so that the caller knows who they're speaking with. So you demand a name, right? And once you receive that name, you keep records as you go along. You're right. You keep notes of all the conversation, the feedback that you received. Because there are instances that you do not receive an appropriate feedback, and remedial action needs to be taken to address that concern. So we advise callers, when you call to the police, you keep a record, you keep notes. We have cell phones now that are smart. They record conversations. So if you so feel obliged, you can do that as well. You keep records of the information, your communication. There are people who have encountered like that. They keep a brilliant record. So when you go back to the station, you know exactly who you're going to speak to. Or sometimes you go in person and you get a good description. So when I ask the person, describe the person, I'm able to tell you right off the bat who the person is, that they engage. So it is important to keep records and to keep your information, so that in the event that you have an unpleasant encounter, it'll make our job easier to find who that person is.
Yes.
And
you give the number for the public relations.
Okay, so the public relations number you can call is 440-3764. 440-3764, and we do have a cell phone that has WhatsApp, 405-5324. You can also reach us via Facebook, Royal Grenada Police Force, and shoot us a message there as well.
Okay, wonderful. Now, there's also the concern you are working with the community, and persons have problems in terms of police, their attitude to the citizens. Yes, they have the right, and as I said, comply and then complain. But sometimes it is very difficult for the attitude that is exhibited by the officer to the citizen to just, how they handle you, how they deal with you, how they talk with you. What advice can you give in this case? Because its tempers rising. How do you manage in this situation?
Police are trained to be calm in the face of adversary. You're trained to, and you're expected to display that when you're carrying out your functions. We have a professional police force, and we expect a certain conduct from the police when they're engaging with members of the community, whether it is a person you may think it is not in your category or whatever the case may be, we expect you to exercise that level of respect and tolerance to every person that you engage. There are circumstances that the police may need to show a bit of force or restraint based on the person that they're dealing with. But in instances where someone is calm and they're cooperating and they're going along with what you're seeking from them, they're cooperating with you and your instructions, we do not anticipate the police to be displaying a negative attitude to anyone. Yeah, we expect you to display what you were trained to do, to be calm and collective, to show tact, and execute your function as a professional. We do not expect to have the reports that people were called certain names or you were treated in a derogatory manner or anything like that. We expect you to display and portray what you were trained to do. Yeah? And
you have a right to state your dissatisfaction.
Yeah. Once you feel that you were wrong, once you feel like you were unfairly treated, as I said, you can come in, you can file your complaint, and it will be looked into. Yes.
Because we need to know those things. We need to know our rights, you know, and the responsibilities that go with it, and also for the police. Because I think what you're trying to do is to work together. You know, we are not at war, and sometimes we tend to just have this antagonism as citizens with the police. We don't see them as friends. We don't see them as seeking our interests, kind of thing. And so people, they react.
Three words to remind us of the police function here. The police is not here to fight you. The police is not here to bully you. The police is here to serve and protect. And once you hear these two words, it should send an indication as to the purpose of the police. Yeah, the police is here working for you, to protect you, and to serve you, the public. So it is not a war. We're expected to cooperate. We're expected to work along for the greater good of our society.
Yes. Someone is asking about the body cameras for police.
Yes.
Can you speak to that?
I am not in a position to speak to it at this time, but I know it is a brainchild of our present commissioner, and I believe it's something he holds very dear to his heart, and someday we may see it coming into fruition.
Yes. So in terms of the development of the department, you have initiatives, you are continually thinking and putting stuff together so that you can reach the public.
Yes.
What are some of the other initiatives that you have in the pipeline for this period of time?
Okay, so as I said earlier, we have some collaborations coming up with Ministry of Education for the child month period. That's October. Prior to that, we are partnering, we're teaming up with the police band again. We're going to do several pop-ups at various communities. So we're going to bring you a bit of music. We're going to bring you a bit of crime prevention tips. We're going to bring you some professionals to help you, to give you the information, the know-how to prevent yourself or your family from being a victim of crime. So the band and the police, we're coming your way very soon. So that's from September. It promises to be very, very exciting. We're also going to carry it live. So if you're not in a particular community, you can tune in live on our various social media platforms and be in tune with what's happening. We're also planning another major production to address teenage runaway. That's an issue we've had a lot of lately. We're doing a production to highlight some of the issues that cause children to leave home and some of the remedial action that can be taken to prevent such unwanted practices. So we're working on a production to highlight that as well. Force-wise, we have a virtual range, a shooting range that we're looking to launch in the not-too-distant future. I do not want to give out too much information on it, but I just say that we have that coming on. All of our exhibits are kept at one secured central location. So we do not have them at stations all over the country, as is presently the case. So we have it at one secured central location with a proper structure and everything in place to manage that. Yes.
Good. It seems as though the department is very busy to me. It's like you have very little time to,
Yes.
I guess the phones are going and there are complaints coming, and it's constant.
Yes.
From what you're saying.
Yes,
And
we usually have a very, very hectic day, very busy day, because we have to be dealing with complaints, addressing issues on the outside, coming up with initiatives. It is a lot.
Yes.
We enjoy doing it, by the way.
We have a caller on the line. Yes. I hope she's still there, or he. Good morning and welcome to our program, Tete.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Is that the surname?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I'm very happy for the information she's given and all the initiatives she outlined. But I want to not disagree, but tell her or say to her that it sounds very good and all nice and dandy, pie in the sky kind of things in a sense. But I think the people's experience of the police in many cases is far, far different from what the proposals that she's making and all the whatever she's saying about the performance and so, because I think there still needs to be a lot of work to, if not gain or regain the public's trust in the police, because people, I know they do a good job in terms of solving crime you hear, but like for example, people would call the station repeatedly for some situation and they would get no response in terms of the police coming to attend to the situation, and that is done repeatedly. Sometimes it goes on for days and the police does not respond, and it could be a very serious situation that needs the intervention of the police, right? I know of instances where people have offered the police, when they say they have no transport, people have offered the police to even gone to the station with their own personal transport and say, officer, you can use my vehicle, and they wouldn't come, right? Another thing is, I remember having a situation where I called the police at Grenville for some situation of domestic violence. This thing was going on from about 10 in the night to 2 a.m. Beating of a guy beating his girlfriend. She running out in the road with that 2-year-old child in the rain. I called the police. I went out to them first of all and said, you all making too much behavior yourselves. So I said, I'm going to call the police, which I did. The officer, I know his name, he gave me, said to me, what that have to do with me, if the woman not complaining, why I have to be the one calling? And after that, the guy next door threatened and cursed me and told me the worst set of things and what he'll do to me and so. So you have situations like that where people would not want to give information to the police or call the police because of situation like what I just described. Another thing, again, I remember once having a serious incident with a senior police officer in charge of a station one time. I had to go to headquarters to report I think I met Dupree at the time, Officer Dupree. And then for weeks, I mean, it happened, I think, maybe in August. And up to November, I had no response. I went to the officer, I forget his name now, that was in charge. He told me they cannot give me that information. I say, it's an internal matter, they investigate. I say, officer, but this has something to do with me. And the only time he came forth with information is when I said, I'm going to report this to the media. And he said, hold on, he called up, give the gentleman the information he did. And later on, they sent me a letter saying what the process, whose assistant, the superintendent of police spoke to the officer in charge and whatever. So I'm saying all these things to say that the police, what you say is all well and good. I commend the work that the police do in large parts, but I think people's experience is far, far different. Because all I heard you speaking about officers are trained to be calm and things. My experience of police is do as I say, just move. You can say, officer, my foot hurting me. You just can't, in many instances, you cannot even explain or defend yourself. What they say goes. So that's my contribution. It's a mouthful, really, but I just want to state all of these because you really opened a Pandora box there as you spoke. So thank you very much.
Thank you, caller.
Yeah.
Quite a lot there.
Yeah, quite a lot. Some unfortunate experiences as well, I must say. And that is why I highlighted, if you've had an unpleasant experience with the police, an unpleasant encounter,
keep knocking.
You need to, he could have come to community relations or contacted us. We have a cell phone number. Reach us any hour on the cell phone number, and we could have stepped in to make a difference. Phone number again. 405-5324. 405-5324. Because domestic violence is a very serious issue, and the law makes no whims about it. So it could have been taken further, and he could have sought further redress. Very unpleasant encounter, though.
But that situation he raised about people in distress and neighbors calling on behalf of these people, it's a regular occurrence.
Yeah,
I also know of some situations, you know, and people who are unable to help themselves. And these are the flimsy excuse, you know, it's like taking it casually. And when something serious happens now, you see everybody running now to deal with situation, and that is very sad. You speak of prevention of crime or incidences like this.
In fact, the part of the presentation I did yesterday, the Child Protection Authority, the Child Protection and Adoption Act, and also the Domestic Violence Act, it bonds persons who are aware of these incidences to report them.
Well,
failure to report it, if you can genuinely and be proven that you were aware and you did nothing about it, you did not report it, you brought it to no one's attention, persons can be charged. So it is unfortunate that it got to that, and I trust that we would not have a reoccurrence. So as I said, there's a means that you can seek redress. You can come to the Community Relations Department, or you can telephone us, and we will look into these incidences for certain.
So when you get all of these complaints and so on, I would think that you have some way of dealing with it as a department, bringing it to the attention of the officers and so on.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Now, where does patrol come in all of this? Because, as I told you, my father was a police. He's since died. But we have known of police patrolling, and we see that is not happening. We don't see it much in terms of the nights. You see them in the day. I don't know. We don't see them in the night. For example, you see people take chances in the night, even with driving vehicles without license and all sort of thing. And, you know, in the daytime, you're about going to your work and you stop people sometimes for, you know. But in the night, when you have a lot of incidences taking place, we don't see the police.
Well, I am not certain of what particular area, but I am aware of departments such as the RRU. They are constantly engaged in patrols. Patrolling hotspots, patrolling, because there are certain areas that need more attention than others, right? So you will have departments such as the RRU and the CID doing covert patrols and conducting operations and so on throughout the night. The regular police as well, they do have foot patrols up to a particular hour at night. They do have covert operations and so on during the night. So based on the hotspots, as I indicated earlier. So based on our community, we do not have much of a challenge with. Sometimes you may not see much of the resources being channeled in that particular community. But areas that we have most of our challenges with, and areas that are known as hotspots, is where most of the resources may be channeled.
But sometimes they could do some random
checks.
I
agree. I agree. And random checks do happen, but maybe during the more busy periods, like the Christmas or the carnival and so on. Yes, so I agree. And point taken.
Yes. You know, for example, you have an offense, somebody just never had an offense with the police. And there are differences, maybe you forgot to maybe check your tire or whatever, and you get the impression that they're just out to charge you. Like somebody, you know, like there's something here, they're just out to charge you. You don't get this thing like, sir, you know, this is the first thing, you need to check your, you know, because if we find it again, this is what's going to happen. So we give you how much time to go and check it.
Yeah, that's what we refer to as discretion.
But sometimes we don't see it.
Yeah. But as you said, it's not a crime. It's a road traffic offense. Yeah, so road traffic offenses are not considered criminal actions or criminal infractions.
But in the case of where it's not criminal, but this person is law-abiding.
Yes.
So why can't the person...
it is all up to the officer and the ability to be discretionate at the point in time.
One officer said one time, when the officer charged, the next one said he cannot go against what she's done. Because it was the two of them working. That's it. So they couldn't even come to any sort of like, you know, let's look at it. No, he was not going to go against. You said police for police. He's not going to go against what the officer had said.
Or maybe at that particular time was not really the best opportunity to query it. So probably you can go ahead and probably query it after.
Oh, come to you and But by that time you're raging, eh? By that time you're very upset.
So keep calm.
We're upset the police is
Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, there are other, offenses that have taken place. And as the guy said, when you ask for information, then they said it's not available. And when you press, and somebody knows the right and they press,
well, it depends
then
on
you
the
get
information.
a change of response.
Because the police has to protect certain information. As I said earlier, you want to protect anonymous people. You want to protect sensitive information. So it is not always the wise thing to just give out information as people request it.
Okay.
Sometimes you may need information, your own information for a particular purpose, and there's a procedure to do that. So if you made a report to the police and you need it for insurance purposes or some other function, legal purposes or so, then you apply for your statement through the Commissioner of Police. No issues with that.
Okay.
But if it is that you maybe need somebody else's information, then we may have a little challenge there, and we may have to look very carefully at that request. Yeah.
Now, the laws that govern our police force here, our country, is it international laws? It's common across the board, or Grenada has its special laws governing?
We have our special laws, though it may mimic some of the other areas in the region, because remember we came from sort of the British system. It may mimic some of them. All laws are basically sort of unique to our circumstances and so on. As I said, we came from the British system, so many of these things were passed down to us. But as time went on, we have things that were repealed. We have laws that were changed. As recently as 2010, a lot of our criminal laws were adjusted, and we have made adjustments to suit our present issues that we face.
Okay. So let's take a break, and when we come back, I know you want to mention some concerns, some alerts that you want to give to us so that we can work along with the department. So we take a short break, listeners and viewers.
How great thou art.
Hello, I am Melissa, a student of St. Rose Modern Secondary School. On this, the 14th day in the season of creation, I invite you to pray for the end to all forms of violence and human trafficking.
O God, our Creator, you made us out of love and to be loved. Help us to care for others and respect each other. We pray for the conversion of hearts for all perpetrators of violence. Turn their hearts of stone into hearts of love. Loving Father, grant peace, comfort, and strength to all victims of violence, and eternal rest to all those who died. Amen.
Burning bush you are, glowing and endless love, living in your midst, to live by you, to be alive in you.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. We are here with our guest, Corporal Kadina Douglas McLean, Supervisor of the Community Relations Department, the Royal Grenada Police Force. And she's shared with us very intensely on the work and function of that department. Of course, we know that based on the expression of one of the callers, that we do not always have these pleasant experiences. It's what we are aiming towards, to work towards, that cooperation with the community and the police. And so it's a work in progress, I think you would agree, because the mentality of persons is not the easiest thing to change.
Yes,
you may train me in all kinds of ways, but if my mentality remains my mentality, then...
Yes, and as I use the word expected, over and over again because we have an expectation of our officers.
Yes.
Yeah? So I keep using that word on purpose. We have an expectation of the police, both from the public side and from the police side. We have an expectation of persons when they go out there to perform their duty.
Yes.
It may not be what is required, but the expectation is that you will be professional with people, will be polite with people, will be respectful to people when you're engaging them out in the public, right?
Oh, sure.
So I keep using that word, expectation, expected, generally, to say what we expect to happen.
Very good.
Yes.
And the point of the laws, the international laws, you did make the point that we have our unique laws, special laws, and there are some behaviors and attitudes or practices that occur elsewhere, but it is an offense here.
Yeah, simple. Obscene language. You can use obscene language in some states in the US, for example, freely, and nothing will be done. You would not be charged, you would not be arrested, anything like that. However, in our society, it is still a criminal offense.
I hope it continues.
Yeah. So people may be here, use swear words, use curse words, and other laws, other things that are still in place here, and think, well, I do it over there, so I can do it here.
Right, right.
That's why I said our laws are unique to our circumstances, and it differs from other areas.
Okay.
Yeah? So that's just one of the examples.
Yes.
Many examples. Simple.
Great. Right. You said that there was some also concerns that you'd like to raise with our listeners and viewers now. So please let us know what these concerns are.
Yeah. So basically, just some reminders. Briefly, a school at the St. Andrews Anglican Primary School. It was recently relocated to Progress Park. 2 speed bumps were placed on the stretch alongside the school. We just want to remind motorists. We also had a pedestrian crossing placed on the same stretch of road.
Yes.
We just want to remind motorists to be cautious when they're traversing the area.
Yes.
And we want to encourage parents also to be very vigilant when they're sending their children or when they're dropping them off to and from school. Right. We want them to be very cautious in the area because some people have not grown accustomed to the bumps as yet. They're marked, they're painted, everything.
Yes.
But people have still not grown accustomed to them being there.
We'll have to interrupt because there's a caller. Okay. So, good morning and welcome to Tete. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Just me again. Just two points I'd like to make. As a corporal, what is she? Corporal Inspector, what is she? Inspector McLean?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Corporal,
sorry. Okay. Just two questions. As relates to the humps and so in the road, could the police if they're the ones responsible for putting humps in the road, could they make the humps a little, well, for want of a better word, broader? They're like some sharp, just rises in the road, and I think they do affect your vehicle. I mean, you just go over these things and you hear the banging on your vehicle and so. But there are in some places that are broader and wider. If the police can have a uniform sort of standard for the placing of humps in the road. That's my first. The other thing, you talk a lot about training, and I'm questioning here, is part of your training for officers has to do with mental health? Like very often police officers would go to see traumatic situation, beheading, somebody, chopped up in bits and pieces, and that for me, if I see blood, I could pass out, I'm telling you. So I want to know if police officers are trained or counseled after they encounter traumatic situations and so like that, and very terrible accidents, smash up and all of that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your questions. In relation to humps and so on, the Ministry of Works is responsible for instituting or placing humps in several areas. What the police may do from time to time is probably make recommendations where we see fit. Like if we have an issue with the roadway, we think that a particular roadway may cause a challenge or may result in several accidents or so on. We can make recommendations to the Ministry of Works, placing of humps and the specifications and so on is solely up to Ministry of Works and not the police. Okay. The police may take initiative from time to time to have them repainted, seek support from Corporate Grenada to have them repainted and so on. but it is not
I thought it was a
the
police
responsibility of the police. It
Okay.
is the Ministry of Works. In relation
in collaboration with the police.
right, so
And
that's,
the
as I
traffic
said,
department,
in relation to the marking of the roads and so on, the police takes initiative from time to time. We seek sponsorship sometimes, or we get the material from the ministry, and we assist from time to time. So sometimes you will see officers on the road repainting the signs and so on. But it is not solely or necessarily a police functions for constructing homes, placing homes and so on in the road. It is a Ministry of Works area of responsibility, right? In relation to debriefing and so on, it depends on the circumstances of the crime or so on. There are times that based on the nature of the crime or what persons are exposed to, professional help is sought outside of the police force for them. So whether it is counseling or debriefing or whatever the case may be, professional help is sought for officers. However, in instances of chopping and so on, I believe that officers, in a general sense, have grown accustomed to some of the minor incidences. But where persons would have, he spoke about beheading, and that was years ago in terms of the beheading. And professional help was sought for officers in that regard. So it's not frequent we have these sort of occurrences to have any fixed person assigned to the police or inside of the police force. We do have a mental health experts assigned to the police force on that note though, but it is not a frequent occurrence that we have where we have to get that professional intervention every time or frequently for officers, but we do get assistance from time to time.
Because I guess part of the training is all of this.
Yeah. As I said, you're
yes.
expected to maintain a courageous calm in the face of danger, scorn, and ridicule. Yeah.
Ridicule.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Good. So let's get back to some of the concerns you were speaking to just inform the school again, because it's important.
So as I was saying earlier, we just want to remind parents, motorists to be cautious when traversing that strip of road alongside Progress Park in St. Andrew, Telescope St. Andrew, since the St. Andrew's Anglican Primary School was relocated to that area.
Yes.
Speed bumps were placed in that area and also a pedestrian crossing. So we want you to obey the signs of the road and the rules of the road as you go about. Parents also remember to be cautious. Ensure that you put good stringent rules in place to ensure that your children remain safe on that strip of road, right? Also, we want to admonish parents. School is back open. Children are out loitering. Parents, we advise you to please be very, very strict with your children. The sort of behaviors that children portray outside of school hours, it is really, really concerning and alarming for the police. I myself, sometimes I have to leave my office, go down to the Centennial Park and get children out of there in their uniforms. I mean, if parents were to put strict rules in place and ensure that children follow the rules, the police don't have to be running behind them all the time. You understand? So we want to encourage parents. You need to put your feet down. You need to protect your children. You need to let them know the dangers and the consequences of their actions. Sometimes the police speak to them now on this end of the terminal, they're gone to the other end. You speak to them on this side of the mall,
but there was
they're
a
gone
time,
to the other
officer,
side of the mall.
There was a time when the police were out and the students had to take the first bus and clear that terminal.
Yes, but we need the support of the parents, because sometimes you have a million excuses. Mommy said I have to do this. Daddy said I have to do this. And sometimes some of the encounters are very, very unpleasant. We have parents who are at a point now that they I'm not for want of a better explanation, that they sort of condone these behaviors. They condone these behaviors, and it makes it very, very difficult for the police to have them fulfill their functions.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah. Because some of us who just use our private cars, we have no idea what happens in this terminal.
Exactly.
You know, I just had to traverse there sometime last week, and I was telling my husband, I said, you must take a little roughing out there, take the bus and see what really goes on inside there, because for us it's like we live in a different world, and we really don't understand what happens there in the terminal building. So I'm very happy that you raised that point, and to appeal to parents and guardians to take up their responsibilities.
Another issue that we've seen showing its ugly head recently, livestock theft. We have an issue already with Predialastini, and joining this is livestock theft. And we just want to encourage persons, when you're going to purchase meat or to purchase animals to be slaughtered, be very cautious, be very wary who you purchase from. Ensure that you purchase from known owners, people who rear animals, people who are genuine in their business, genuine in their trade, because we want to avoid altogether all of these occurrences from repeating itself. At present, we at the Community Relations Department, we are looking at coming up with a number of initiatives to help livestock farmers address these concerns, maybe looking at tagging or so on. We're brainstorming and we're trying our best to come up with some initiatives.
You
to
take ideas
them.
from the public too.
Yes, we welcome ideas from members of the public as well. And most importantly, we ask people to be your neighbor's keeper.
Look out,
You see someone, you know they don't rear animals, you see them passing with an animal, you call your neighbor, or you call the police, or you pass on the information. That information can be useful in helping prevent or probably solving some sort of infraction. So we want everybody to be on the lookout and to be very wary and cautious as well. In terms of fires, we want everyone to be cautious with open flame. Do not put something on the fire and go to sleep. Do not leave candles lighting and go to bed. Be very, very, very cautious. And a number of other fire prevention tips. We have, as I said earlier, we have the various units and departments sharing these informations over and over. You do not light open flames close to your property and so on. You go through the correct procedure and protocol if you were to engage in such practices. You turn them off. You ensure that it is properly out before you leave the area or you go to bed. Be very, very cautious with open flames.
I'd like to put in a plug here for people who live alone.
Especially for people.
Because this is, sometimes you're losing it a bit. And they're left alone in this home. Perhaps they put the water on the fire and forget that they ever put the water there. I don't know. But to ask, family and friends to check in, make a call, keep in touch.
Especially for the elderly. I failed to mention though that October is also month of the elderly. So we will be looking at focusing heavily on elderly care as well, because there's elderly abuse as well. So we will look at that as well going forward. So basically that's it in a nutshell. I trust that the information that we shared here today will be taken to heart, and that's practice. I trust that we would listen to upcoming programs from the RGPF, and I believe that it will better position many members of society to not be criminal, not be elements of criminal actions, not be a victim of some crime or the other, because you're well informed, you're in a position to share that information or to take certain remedial action to prevent yourself or your family from being a victim of crime.
Right. And just to wrap, because just to tell us again where the programs are and just the contact numbers for persons who may have missed it,
So some of the programs that we have on Wednesdays, we have Government Information Service, that's the GIS. On Wednesdays, and also on Wednesdays we have WeFM Radio and the morning program, that's 10 o'clock on Wednesday morning. On Thursday morning we have GBN at 9 o'clock on To The Point. On Fridays we have Magic FM at 9 o'clock as well. Magic FM, that's the radio station, MTV, on Fridays. So we share lots and lots of information as well.
Right. And the contact number, if people have
the contact numbers are, our landline number is 440-3764. 440-3764, and our cell phone number can be contacted any time of day on our cell phone, because we operate 8 to 4 Monday to Friday. However, if you need to reach us outside of these hours, you can contact us via cell phone 405-5324, and we'll be happy to help. We'll be happy to serve you. That is our purpose, to protect and serve you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Corporal Kadina Douglas McLean, who has come here at Good News Catholic Communications. We're very happy to partner with the police force and all the initiatives that they are having, so that we can bring it to the attention of our listeners and viewers. Thank you for the work you're doing. We know it's yeoman's task. We know it is a lot, and we would encourage the our listeners and viewers to really cooperate, especially if we call ourselves Christians. We ought to cooperate and to take the high road, you know, and to maintain law and order, because a lawless society is, you don't want this.
No.
So we applaud you for the efforts that are being made and continue to encourage you in the good measures.
Thank
Okay?
you. Appreciate
Good
it. Looking
yes.
forward to many more.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So listeners and viewers, thank you for being part of our program. Thank you, caller, for your deep
Yes.
questions, you know, and comments that you have made on the program. And I'm sure my guest, Corporal Kadina, will take it to the desk where she works and be able to look at it more closely. So thank you all, and do join us at the top of the hour. We have celebration of Holy Mass.